I love that saying. I'm not sure if there was a previous version of it or if it really did originate from The Dark Knight, but I do love that term. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I'm going to apply it in a sense. Uh, there's another term that's similar to it where one says, like, you live long enough to see all your heroes die or something like that. I kind of covered this once before. I did a video. It was just Star Trek sucks or Star Trek is terrible, something like that. But I recently had a conversation with someone, and they were wondering why I wasn't excited that there's a new Star Wars trilogy planned. And just, to put it out there, I actually love the new Star Wars movies. Same thing with Star Trek. I loved the J.J. Abrams films. I don't care what the anti SJW crowd is, who I am among. Um, I cannot stand Star Trek Discovery. I cannot stand Star Trek Picard, but I loved the Abrams films. I love the new Star Wars sequels. The original films are classics, the prequels are garbage, but hey, they're part of it. And the sequels are my favorite part of Star Wars. It was the part that really got me in because when I was a kid, it wasn't Star Wars that I was watching, it was Star Trek. I have loved Star Trek since I was born, basically. Star Trek The Next Generation premiered in 1987. I was born in 1988. And from the time I can remember remembering, I was watching Star Trek. I was drawing pictures of the Enterprise. I was playing with Micro Machine starships, um, building starships out of Lego. And then, as I've said before, it progressed through all the other films and series. And I really do love all of Star Trek pre Star Trek Discovery. And then with Star Wars, the explanation I had for them when they asked me this, I said, well, because Star Wars is over. And they were like, well, what do you mean? They're going to do more. They're going to tell more stories. I'm like, well, for me, the Star Wars that I care about is the Skywalker saga. And yes, I was a little late to the game. I always had, an appreciation for the original films, but I wasn't a huge fan of them. I became a huge fan of Star Wars because of the sequels. It led me back to enjoying the originals a lot more. It led me to mucking through the prequels to have the complete story. Actually, Mr. Plinkett from Red Letter Media has that's the best way to watch the prequel films. Check that out. Anyways, the point here is it's over. It's done. Star Wars is over for me. And unless something crazy awesome happens with Star Trek is over for me. Um, the exception with Star Wars is, you know, some of the great video games that come out. I'm still playing Jedi Fallen Order, and that's a fantastic game. There's still great stories to be told, but when it comes to like trying to reinvent and reinvigorate a franchise like this, to me, it's done. That story of Star Wars has been told. The primary story that everyone cared about. It's done. It's over with. And anything that comes from here on out, the problem is I'm not opposed to reboots and recastings and trying to restart a franchise. In many ways, I've seen it happen before with Star Trek, with the new Battlestar Galactica back in 2004. Movies like Total Recall and oh, what was the one recent? Oh, Blade Runner. Continuing some of these stories, and they were great. I love them. I really thoroughly enjoyed them. The problem is everything is infested with an agenda now. So I have no faith that anything new that comes from these franchises is not just being recycled or regurgitated to push a political agenda. And people are sick of it. I'm not the only one. But really, that's the thing. My favorite shows and movies and series My favorite franchises have gone on so long that in many senses I feel like it is time for them to die. At this point, I would rather watch my heroes die than watch them become the villains. And when it comes to Star Trek, it's kind of already done that with Discovery and Picard. I'm trying to ignore their existence. There's a lot of the weird Trekkies out there, mainly the pink haired underarm hair growing types that really enjoy it or are big fans of it. I don't know a single dedicated Star Trek fan with a lick of sense that doesn't despise those things. We really liked the Orville because the Orville was like a new age version of what Star Trek The Next Generation was, only in its own universe. It was something original as well. So it was very cool. It was a new thing. But again, got through 2 seasons of that and it was excellent. But I'm worried that with the current political social climate, the third season is going to go SJW. It's going to go political. And instead of providing this balanced view on the universe and presenting both sides of an argument and saying, hey, look, this is why these people feel this way, this is why these people feel that way, let's compromise when it comes to the storytelling, which the Orville did pretty successfully throughout the first 2 seasons. Even with Seth MacFarlane being a pretty big lefty. He knows how to tell good stories and he knows how to have a sense of humor. Half the time, his shows, Family Guy, American Dad, and all that, poke as much fun at liberals and stuff as they do conservatives. So I give him a lot of credit for that. I will watch his stuff, but I'm afraid for the next season. And again, the same thing with Star Wars, same thing with Star Trek. I'm to a point where I would rather see something be done and not get any more of it than watch it go that route. And it's not even just the social, political agenda stuff, it's just pure creativity. There comes a point. Star Trek has existed for like 55, going on 60 years now. Star Wars has existed for like 50 years now. There comes a point where the creative talent pool is just gone. And anybody new stepping into those franchises doesn't seem to have a firm grasp on where to take it and do right by it and they don't have enough say anyways, even if they wanted to. Because it's the franchise to this point is just a moneymaker for a studio or a distributor like Disney or CBS. So Star Trek or Star Wars aren't just a brand to sell things, to sell subscriptions, to sell toys. And yes, technically they always were, but at least then there was still the building of the brand that had to be done and the drawing in of the audience through good creative storytelling and allowing there to be risks to be taken in that. There's no more risks taken, so the same it stagnates, and then of course we enter the social and political stuff as well. So there's just nowhere to go with it. We need fresh storytelling. We need new, fun, creative ideas. Make a new sci-fi epic. Like we almost had that with like Firefly and Serenity. Man, if Serenity had been a hit movie and we got like another series or a couple movies out of it, that would have been fantastic. Maybe it could have caught on, but it didn't. Um, we had that with Battlestar Galactica briefly. It was yes, it was an established name, but it was a completely new way of telling that story. And so that's the problem is we're not going to get that with these mega franchises that have 50 years of history behind them anymore. They've run their course. It's time to let it go, and it's time to die the hero before they become the villain. The problem is the studios and distributors are not going to let them. They are going to be the villain for the sake of trying to make as much money as possible or push an agenda before they just let it die and let it die honorably. And that's kind of sad because I don't want to see that. I would rather see my favorite franchises be done and enjoy the memories I had of them before. So, anyways, that's my argument. Just make new stuff that's good. Please, more conservative types or just normal people, please get out there and start making new stories, fresh ideas. We really need it.